According to psychoanalysis, the second way of handling feelings is expression. And when this defense mechanism is used, negativity is verbalized, vented, and or acted out over and over again. The expression of such negativity is not entirely dealt with. Just a sufficient amount of it is released for the rest to be suppressed. It is believed that the reason for many people to think that expression is a successful way to deal with emotions is as a consequence of Freud stating that suppression was the root cause of neurosis. So people in general understood that if we shouldn't be repressing things, then we should be expressing them. And they thought that that's what psychoanalysis was prescribing, expression, which in fact that was not what Freud meant. And as shown by research, the expression of a feeling tends to propagate the feeling and gives it more energy at a later time. Because expression, if you're like hitting something, whenever you get angry, you go and like vent and like break a wall or something, that will for sure will feel good for a moment, but then that will train your brain to do that every time you get angry, and it will not cure the thing. It will just, it's kind of a patch, so it will not completely help you deal with anger or expressing certain feelings. It will just make you, it will just train your brain to do that over and over again. And if it's anger, then it can just make you more and more violent. What Freud actually prescribed was to neutralize, sublimate, socialize, and channel the negativity into constructive drives of love, work, and creativity. As Freud famously used to say, a psychologically healthy individual is that one who is able to love and work. And maybe in future videos we can go in detail on how Freud and psychoanalysis, it's also related to spirituality. Because Freud's teacher was heavily influenced by Buddhism. So in terms of yoga, tradition says that Freud's concepts, they are true for the lower levels of existence and the lower levels of consciousness. So it's very, Freud's theories are very related to the first, third chakras of the individual. The third coping mechanism, which is escape, relates to the avoidance of negativity through diversion. Escapism is the foundation of the entertainment and recreation and drugs industry. Plus, it is a socially acceptable way to cope with negativity when it comes to entertainment and legal drugs. We can potentially avoid our own inner world by an endless pursuit of diversions, which in pathological cases can easily lead to dependency and addiction. And one of the things with escapism is that it's socially acceptable to indulge in these kinds of things. So, then what does spirituality and mindfulness prescribes, if it's not to repress, express, or escape? So what mindfulness prescribes is not to repress, express, or escape, but to completely, just as in the previous video we talked about mindfulness, of the archetypical mindfulness technique is to just let everything be. So if anger pops up inside of you, you completely and utterly let that anger be, and you rest on it. That's it. You're not trying to change it, you don't try to manipulate it, you just completely sit with it, knowing that it will go away, the same way that everything is impermanent in this world. Just as in the previous analogy, you are the sky, and this anger, it's a cloud, and you completely let the cloud be, and then it will go away. You don't have, the sky doesn't have to do anything to make the cloud go away. The cloud goes away whenever its job is done. So that's what mindfulness prescribes. Just let everything be as it is, with the added idea of you don't listen to your mind. So what mindfulness says is that whenever you get angry, that angerness that comes automatic, that's kind of not your fault. It's just there. Even if it's a horrible idea, like I should kill someone, then that's completely fine. What mindfulness prescribes is that you do not pay too much attention to the thought. So if a horrible idea comes of like I should kill my neighbor, you let that be, and that's it. Instead of judging yourself like, how dare you, Marco, how can you think that you're going to kill your neighbor, and that's not a good thing to say, blah blah blah, and you shouldn't be thinking these things. So you don't go there. Just the anger comes in, the idea of like, I want to kill my neighbor comes in, and you completely let that idea be without any judgment. You're kind of like seeing yourself as a little puppy, or a little puppy that gets very angry. It's like, oh, I'm really sorry, Marco, I'm really sorry you're angry. And it makes sense you're angry. And it's okay that you said you think these ideas. And that's it. You don't give them too much energy. You know what I mean? So you don't give them too much energy, and you just sit with that anger. Completely and utterly, you just let that anger be. And then it will go away. So that's what mindfulness prescribes. There's other concepts that they're very related to mindfulness that we would like to discuss. And they relate to the Buddhist Four Noble Truths, which are very related to mindfulness. The first noble truth tells us that life is suffering, or life is dukkha. Dukkha roughly translates as generally uncomfortable, life is generally unsatisfying, life is generally painful, and even full of suffering. So that's the first noble truth. Life is suffering. Second noble truth, it speaks of the causes of dukkha, and how dukkha comes about because of our ignorance and our lack of knowledge, which leads us to get attached to things that are impermanent, that pass away and eventually cease to exist or die. So the second noble truth tells us that the reason behind dukkha is that we get attached to things that are gonna die, attached to things that are not gonna be there forever. So if you really love, let's say you really love your iPad, you really love your friend, then we suffer the moment that we don't have that iPad anymore, or we suffer the moment we don't have that friend anymore. And we also suffer if you think you lost the iPad, or if you think you may lose it, or if you think you may lose your friend, or if your friend moved to another city. So all those things that makes us attached to these things and behaviors and people. The third noble truth speaks of how there is an end to dukkha, and how this state is attainable to human beings. So the third noble truth says there's great news, there is a solution. And finally, the fourth noble truth tells us about the path that leads to the end of dukkha, the Eightfold Path. So it's a bit tricky, because even though it seems that it's just four noble truths, it's actually more than that, because the fourth noble truth tells us there's an Eightfold Path. And basically, the Eightfold Path, which is also called the Middle Path, in a nutshell, tells us that the end of dukkha is the attainment of nirvana, or Buddhist liberation. And it is through ethical behavior, love, knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, and meditation practices. And this is when we come back to mindfulness, and the reasons why it's important for all these other things to be integrated into a mindfulness approach.